Θεωρούμε ότι θα καταγραφεί το σεμινάριο, αν δεν έχετε αντίρρηση, ο ομιλών δεν έχει.
Okay.
Ωραία.
Ναι,
Ξεκινώ.
ναι, βέβαια.
Ωραία. Καλησπέρα σε όλες, σε όλους, όλα. Και καλή χρονιά να ευχηθώ το 2025. Επιστρέφουμε λοιπόν συνεχίζοντας τον κύκλο μας, τον 5ο κύκλο Εθνογραφήν, που φέτος έχει τον τίτλο και αφιερώνεται στη μελέτη της θρησκείας στην εθνογραφική συνθήκη, με λέξεις κλειδιά τη δυτική οντολογία, οικολογίες γνώσεων, πάσχοντα, έμφυλα σώματα, θεραπευτικές επιτελέσεις, ιεροί τόποι, σχέσεις εξουσίας, πολιτικές ταυτότητας και υποκείμενα. Τα σεμινάρια Εθνογραφήν, υπενθυμίζω ότι είναι του εργαστηρίου μας, Πολιτισμός Σύνορα Φύλο. Η διοργάνωση αυτών των σεμιναρίων Εθνογραφή γίνεται με το συντονισμό των συναδέλφων, το δικό μου Φωτεινή Τσιμπηρίδου, Ιάννης Μάνος και Ελένη Σιδέρη. Και φέτος έχω τη χαρά να συνεργάζομαι σε αυτόν τον κύκλο που μόλις ανέφερα, με τον συνεργάτη και postdoc μεταδιδάκτορα του τμήματος Δημήτρη Καταϊφτσή. Επειδή πέρασε αρκετός καιρός από την προηγούμενη χρονιά, επιτρέψτε μου να πω 2 λόγια για αυτόν τον κύκλο στα ελληνικά, μετά στα αγγλικά και θα παρουσιάσω τον ομιλητή μας. Ο κύκλος αυτός διερευνά το θρησκευτικό φαινόμενο στην εθνογραφική συνθήκη, ανοίγοντας την συζήτηση για το πώς το ζήτημα της θρησκείας χρήζει αποδόμησης με ανθρωπολογικούς όρους και αποαπικιοποίησης από τις οντολογίες του δυτικού επιστημολογικού παραδείγματος. Οι απικιακότητες της μοντέρνας πολιτιότητας και κοινωνικότητας του έθνους κράτους όχι μόνο χρησιμοποιούν τη θρησκεία εργαλειακά, τόσο σε συλλογικό όσο και σε προσωπικό επίπεδο, αλλά αποκρισταλώνουν την έννοια της θρησκείας μονοδιάστατα και πνευματικά, τόσο πέρα από τις υλικότητές της, όσο και τον στενά ανθρωποκεντρικό της χαρακτήρα. Έτσι λοιπόν, ο μονοθεϊσμός στην Ιουδαίο-χριστιανική και μουσουλμανική εκδοχή του, η απεικιοκρατία και η δυτική επιστημολογία έχουν συστηματικά οδηγήσει σε επάλληλους εξορθολογισμούς της έννοιας της θρησκείας, καθώς και τη διάκρισή της από τον κόσμο της μαγείας. Η πορεία αυτή οδηγεί σε μια χριστιανικά ιεραποστολική οντολογία γνώσεων στο πλαίσιο της δυτικής απεικιοκρατίας, η οποία δημιουργεί αποκλίσεις από τις συμπεριληπτικές οικολογίες γνώσεων των ευγενών αγρίων, με τα άλλα είδη, τη φύση και το επέκεινα, όπως αυτά που βρίσκουμε στις ηθαγενικές λατρείες. Το γεγονός ότι η ίδια ανθρωπολογία έχει από πολύ νωρίς επισημάνει τα παραπάνω, δεν απέτρεψε την ίδια ωστόσο στην απικιακή της φάση, αλλά και στους συναφείς κλάδους της έκτοτε, όπως είναι η λαογραφία παραδείγματος χάρη, να αναπαράγουν τις δυτικοκεντρικές διακρίσεις στην αναλυτική τους σκέψη. Νωρίτερα από την εποχή των σταυροφοριών, η θρησκεία είχε αρχίσει να ενιολογείται δυτικοκεντρικά ως συνώνυμο του πολιτισμού σε μια οριανταλιστική διάκριση του δυτικού χριστιανικού ευρωπαϊκού κόσμου από τους πολιτισμικά μουσουλμάνους άλλους της Ανατολής, ενώ η εποχή των ανακαλύψεων συμβάδισε με την αποκριστάλλωση απόμιξης θρησκειών και ιδιότυπης εκοσμίκευσης στον ευρωπαϊκό κόσμο. Αναφέρομαι στη Ρεκονκίστα, στους διωγμούς των εβραϊκών πληθυσμών, αλλά και στο κυνήγι μαγισσών στην Ευρώπη και αλλού. Και περνώ στα αγγλικά. This seminar aims to highlight how religion and the religious phenomenon need not only to be deconstructed, but also decolonized in research and analysis. In terms of political economy and seeking ecologies of knowledge, the webinar highlights practices for gendered bodies that suffer, are at risk, and demand healing and comfort in places and communities which sometimes use religious discourses inclusively with the afterlife, the non-human world, and the environment, sometimes and or instrumentally for identity politics in the contemporary world. All of these are examined in our seminars in situ within networks of power relations and hegemonies from above or from outside, and require systematic documentation inside ethnography and epistemological revision in terms of decolonizing knowledge. In this way, the deconstruction of stereotypes and demonization is achieved, but also the understanding of religious experiences and interreligious expression, both as process of enchantment and re-enchantment, often mundane and harsh everyday life, and as potential constituent elements of the constitution of the self-subject in the complex contemporary world. Until now, we had done 3 panels. Το πρώτο πάνελ, πνευματοληψία, σουφισμός και ιεραποστολικές εκκλησίες στη μεταπιακή Αφρική, Spiritualism, Sufism and Missionary Churches in Post-Colonial Africa, was the first panel. The second panel, αδελφοί μουσουλμάνοι στην Αίγυπτο και λαϊκό Ισλάμ στα απομακροχώρια, νεωτερικότητες, απικιακότητες και εξορθολογισμοί, Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and popular Islam in the Pomak villages, modernity, colonialities, and rationalizations. And now we are in position to have the third panel, the third seminar, named Shared Sacred Places in the Balkans and Anatolia. And we have the pleasure to have with us Gilles de Rappel. Unfortunately, Dionysi Albera, supposed to be with us in this panel, couldn't make it because he missed the date. He thought this seminar was for February, so it was impossible to have it with us this afternoon. And now we have a pleasure to have only Gilles de Rappel with us, who is an anthropologist and actually director of modern and contemporary studies à l'École Française d'Athènes, apparemment. He holds a PhD in ethnology and comparative sociology, Université Paris 10, Nanterre, and an habilitation à diriger des recherches en anthropologie de l'Université de Toulouse. Since 1994, he has conducted numerous fieldworks in Albania and the Balkans. His work has focused on the coexistence of Christians and Muslims in southern Albania, on cross-border relations between Greece and Albania, and on the effects of Albanian migration in Greece. More recently, he has been interested in the trajectory of photographs produced during the communist period in Albania and their role in the current perception of the communist past. Finally, he is interested in the history of theories of the origin of the Albanians through the revitalization since the 90s of the 19th century ideas, making Pelasgian the ancestors of modern Albanians. So today here is going to speak about the Vacúfia as shared sacred places and this new religion of the Albanians, the Pelasgian religion, let's say, so-called. So welcome, Gilles, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Fotini, for this presentation. Thank you also for the invitation. And good afternoon to everyone. So it's a pity that Dionysi could not make it today, because I was really counting on him to introduce the topic of shared places in the Mediterranean and in the Balkans. But well, we'll see. So as you said, Fotini, I will talk about Vakuf, which are shared places of worship in Albania, and Pelasgians. It is a way, in fact, to connect two topics of research. One quite old in my ethnographic work in Albania, because as you said, I started in the mid-90s, and a more recent topic of research about the myth of origin of the Albanians, referring to the Pelasgians as ancestors, national ancestors of the Albanians. So this talk will be very, very exploratory, because it's the first time I try to connect these two topics. So just a try. But by doing so, I hope to show you how I look back today on the work I began in the mid-90s in Albania, to show you also how my ethnographic practice encountered religious phenomena, and in so doing, trying to raise the question of the conditions of an ethnography of religion in Albania today. So I will. Okay. So there will be three parts in my talk. I will start with that first field work I did for my PhD in the mid-90s in southeastern Albania around the issue of Muslim and Christian coexistence. In the second part, I will introduce this category of Vacúfia. And I will finish with the third part on the Pelasgians, and are we witnessing today a kind of invention of a new religion around the Pelasgians? But this is the question. Just to show you on the map, I will mainly talk about three areas in Albania. The first one is the district of Devol in southeastern Albania, where I did the research for my PhD in 95, 96. I will also show you some material from the neighboring Korç district. From that time, and also from more recent periods. And I will also show you some material from the area of Gjirokastër in southern Albania. So, as I said, for my doctoral thesis, I carried out long-term fieldwork in Albania between June 95 and September 1996, and actually the topic of research was not about religion. I went there in Devol to look at the border, at the state border, international border between Albania and Greece, and to look at what was happening on that border after the fall of the communist regime in Albania and the opening of the border. That is to look at migration, cross-border relations, national identities, local identities on both sides of the border. And I choose that district of southeastern Albania. At the beginning, my intention was to do fieldwork on both sides of the border, but for various reasons, I stayed mostly in Albania and did only occasional trips to on the Greek side of the border. The fieldwork I conducted there was based mainly on immersion. I stayed a long time in different villages of the area, border crossings, as I said, and I used also because the border was sensitive topic at that time. I also use kinship survey just to make people talk about many other things, but not to make direct questions on the border. And in fact, the first discovery when I arrived on the field was the importance of religious affiliations for the population in Devol. Some inhabitants of Devol were Muslims, others Christians, and everyone knew what he or she was, to which category they belonged, and they knew to which category the others belonged. And I realized that taking this knowledge of who is what, taking this knowledge into account was fundamental to understand interpersonal relations and interactions. And I say it was a discovery for me, firstly because the anthropological, ethnological literature on Albania that I had read before going to the field, which was dating back from the communist period, mainly in the 90s. This literature made no reference to religion and to these religion affiliations. So I was not prepared to this when I arrived on the field. And the second reason was also that because of my personal background, let's say, coming from a sexualized society like the French society, and having lived in an environment indifferent or even hostile to religion, I was not prepared at all to this. So I had to adapt myself to this situation, especially because right from the beginning, people started to ask me about my own religion affiliation. And in a way, the people I was talking to were in fact much more religious than I expected them to be, and much more religious than I myself was. So I had to adapt and to answer these questions. So I started to take an interest in these religious allegiances, an interest in the way they were expressed, in the way they played a role in the words and in the actions of the people I was meeting and I was talking to. And the first thing I want to share with you is that the words, the terms used to designate these affiliations were multiple. And here I will talk mainly about Muslims and Christians, but the situation is much more complex because if you see, I'm sorry, the table is on in Albanian and French because it's an old slide, but you see that the Christians on the first line, the Christians themselves use different terms to talk about themselves. The most common is to say that they are ikrister, Christian, but they use also the word Orthodox, Christian, and Kaur, which comes from the Ottoman period, which was a way for the Muslims to talk about the Christians as infidels, but as you see, the Christians themselves, they use it also to talk about themselves. While from the outside, on the Muslim part, they use this kaur term to talk about the Christians, but also Christian, and they call them Greek. And I will come back to this in a minute. And the Muslims, the most common term for them to talk about themselves in the world is Turk, and they also use the word Musliman for Muslim. And they are also called Turk by the Christians, but also Mohammedan, which is another word for Muslim. I will not enter too much into details here. I just wanted to say also that these two categories, two religions, were called religions. The word in Albanian is fe. It's the same word as faith, foi in French, but it's fe. But they also use words like nation. They talked about the Turkish nation to talk about the Muslims, the local Muslims. They use the word race, talking, for instance, of the Christian race, to talk about the Christians. So there is a tendency to use terms relating to naturalist or essentialist notions of these religious categories. There were also all sorts in the narratives, in the way people talk about who were the Christians, who were the Muslims, all sorts of justifications, for instance, to explain the spatial distribution of Muslims. As you see on this map, the Muslim villages were mostly located at the center in the lowlands of the region, while the Christians were on the margins in the mountains, and this is quite a classic distribution in Ottoman and post-Ottoman contexts. Just to say a word also on marriages. Marriages between the two communities were extremely rare, especially in the villages. They were more frequent in the small town of Bilisht. But they were the exception. There are very, very few interconfessional marriages. And there were also, no, this is, and there were also all sorts of small differences between the two categories, between Christians and Muslims. And this referred to many different things, from food and drink to marriage or burial rituals, to behavior. And there are many of these small differences. These two pictures just refer to interaction between a Christian family in the village. You see the man and his mother here, and the other guy was a beekeeper from a neighboring Muslim village, and helping his this man to keep his own bees. And on that day he stayed. I was staying in that family, and on that day the Muslim guy stayed quite a long time, too long a time. And one way for the Christian guy to say, stop, okay, we won't drink raki anymore, because as usual, when you receive someone at home, you give him coffee and raki. And one way of saying, okay, let's stop, was that he says, we Christians, we drink raki in even numbers of glasses. We drink either 2 glasses or 4 glasses or 6 glasses. But you Muslim, you drink with uneven numbers of glasses. It's either 1, either 3, either 5. So he said, you had your 4th glass of raki. Now, since you are in a Christian family, you stop, you won't have a 5th glass. So this is just an instance of these small differences between Christian and Muslims. I have to say also that regarding the consumption of raki, the general representation was that Muslim would prefer grape raki, while Christians would drink plum raki. So there was also a difference on that matter. So even though I sometimes attended religious ceremonies, or I would meet priests, or listen to my interlocutors to talk about their beliefs, I didn't try to systematically deepen my observations on these, let's say, traditional objects of the anthropology of religions. And on that topics, my observations remain really floating. I would just take what was coming, but did not try to really conduct an ethnography of religious life in that region. The attention paid to the expressions of conventional belonging, however, enabled me to connect this religious boundary with my main object of study, which was the international state border. It also made me aware of the post-Ottoman dimension of the society I was living in. And it also made me aware of the post-socialist dimension of the same society. Actually, the interest of my interlocutors in religious questions can be seen as an effect of the anti-religious policy of the communist authorities, and of the brutal interruption of this policy at the beginning of the 90s. And the local interest for religion was stimulated by the arrival or the return of other religions that, in a way, complexified the main opposition between Muslims and Christians. With the end of the communist regime at the beginning of the 90s, Albania, in a way, entered the global religious market, this globalized market of religions, and a new possibilities for religious affiliations were now open to all. So there was a huge activity by heterodox Muslim orders, by Catholics, by Protestants. I just show you here two pictures taken at the same place of the restoration, reconstruction of Teke, Halveti Teke in Biliște. And another picture of the revival or revitalization of religion. These two pictures taken in the same Christian village. And you see on the black and white picture the state of the small church located on the top of the hill in 92, and its state after restoration in 2002, 2003. And in fact, at that time in the 90s, this reconfiguration of the religious offer in Albania has become a subject of research in Albanian studies. But I did not take too much part in it, partly because at the beginning of the year 2000, my research took another turn. And this is so I just mentioned here a couple of articles I published on that topic of Christian-Muslim coexistence. And I come to the second part of my presentation, but the Vakuf, because in 2001 I joined the Institute for Mediterranean and Comparative Ethnology in Aix-en-Provence when I entered the CNRS, where I met Dionigi Albera, who was supposed to be here today. And Dionigi at that time was starting to work on shared places of worship in the Mediterranean. So he was very interested in what I had been observing in Albania. So I went back to my notes. I did new field research in Devol and in other places in Albania to observe shared places. And here again, when I started to look at these practices, rituals, places, a local category, a vernacular category of religious practice became essential, and that is the category of Vakuf, which refers to some places of worship, usually shared places. And I therefore started to conduct an ethnography of this category, noting all its occurrences in the words of my interlocutors, also in the ethnographic and more general literature. I also visited and observed some of these places in order to understand what was happening there and how this category of Vakuf actually formed a particular category of religious activity. The results of this examination has been published in two articles in English, to which I refer. Just to give you the main features of this Vacúf category, the word is applied to several types of place, Muslim, Christians, or natural places. It refers, for instance, to tombs, generally Muslim tombs, tombs of dervishes or babas, but of various kinds, very simple like this one, or more complex ones. Vacúf also is also used to talk about small churches, chapels located on the side of the roads or at the boundaries of the Christian villages. The category also refers to abandoned or ruined mosques or churches. Here on the left, you have the place where in the village of Sangogne, a place where the mosque used to be, and it was destroyed during the communist period. There's nothing left of the building, but people have built a very small thing where people lit candles, they leave flowers and small offerings to mark the place of the ancient mosque. And on the right, this is the remains of a church in an abandoned village on the border between Albania and Greece, close to what is close to the Greek village of Kristallopii, very close to the border post. And this village was on the borderline, and that was it. That's one of the reasons why it was abandoned. But today, the Albanians, migrants or daily workers who cross the border, when they come to this ruin, they leave also some money in this small box here, close to the church. And finally, the word Vacúf also refers to abandoned or disused monasteries, either Christian or Muslims, or monasteries or tekkes, which are sometimes the object of devotion at certain days of the year. And Vacúf also refers to some natural places, springs, for instance, on this picture. Most of these places call for individual practices. As I said, people lit a candle, leave little money in the Vacúf. But other places, or sometimes the same places, at certain times of the year, are the object of collective devotions, of pilgrimages, so to speak. So you have these here two pictures from the main pilgrimage in Devol, in the village of Hočišť, to the Vacúf named Satrivač. And what is important is that in any case, whatever the historical affiliation as Christian or Muslim places, the Vakuf are characterized by the shared attendance. They are for all religions, as people say. To explain what a Vakuf is, it's for all religions. That means that everyone can come and worship in their own way. And I just give you an example. This is the same Vakuf of Satrivac in Devol, which is actually a church of Saint Cosma and Damian, which was occupied by the army during the communist period and transformed. So it doesn't look at all like a church, but it is on that very day, I think, if I remember well, the 1st of July, the feast of Saint Cosma and Damian. So on this day, a lot of people come. And the difference between Christian visitors and Muslim visitors is that only the Muslims make a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice on that day. The Christians say that on that day they don't make sacrifice, but they allow the church and the priest who is in the church on that day, he allows Muslims to practice and to make sacrifice. There is a special spot at the rear, at the back of the church, when Muslims can sacrifice a lamb or a goat. And what attracts the people in those Vakuf, actually, it's not a particular cult, a particular religion, but it's what they call the power, the efficiency of the Vakuf. Power from which they expect health, healing, prosperity, success, etc. So I showed you the picture of that church on the border, used by, not used, but respected by migrants who say that if they actually leave money on that church, the border opens to them and they can cross and go to Greece without too much problem. And secondly, all these places, all these Vakuf are places marked by a form of abandonment, a form of withdrawal of religion, of religious practice, withdrawal followed by reinvestment, which sometimes can be supported by religious institutions, but which has always first and foremost local significance. Vakufs are in that way, they are always inscribed, anchored in a local geography, in a local landscape, and in local memory as well. And this, the importance of this temporal dimension must be stressed here. The Vakuf refers always refers to local history, to local events, to local memory. The word itself, Vakuf, in its current usage, as I just described it, the word is itself the result of a history, of a singular history. It comes, of course, from the Arabic waqf through Ottoman Turkish vakuf, which, as you know, designates pious foundation. And even if it can still be used in that meaning in Albania today, but I think, and this is my hypothesis or explanation after this, I conducted this research. I think that, in fact, the word was made available when the object to which it originally referred to, the pious foundation, these Muslim and Christian foundations, this object disappeared during communism due to land reform, but also to the closing of all places of worship and all religious institutions in Albania. So the word became available, and people use it to refer to these abandoned places that they would reinvest in the 90s. So on a local or regional scale, these vakuf sketch out a geography of the sacred, weaving a network of sacred places, some of whose nodes are more important and more powerful than others. And this, the reactivation of this network of sacred places is, I think, another feature of the post-socialist landscape in Albania. And this leads me to my last point, because I would like to suggest that this renewed post-socialist religious landscape is connected to another post-socialist renewal, which is a renewal of ideas about the national origin of Albanians. And the point of contact between these two renewals is the way in which the coexistence, the co-presence of Muslims and Christians, which in the context of the return of religion in post-socialist Albania can give rise to an exacerbation of tensions. This co-presence of Muslims and Christians can also be overcome by representations or practices that try to deny or minimize it. So let me explain what I mean by this. Just to remind you that the presence of Muslims and Christians among the promoters of the Albanian national ID in the 19th century was considered by most of them as an obstacle, like as a difficulty in the context of Balkan nationalism. The conventional plurality made it impossible or made it difficult to identify the nation with one religion. So a number of responses have been made to that issue, but what I presented in the first part about the case in the devil in the 90s shows that the relationship between the different religion or religious communities and the Albanian nation and the unity of the Albanian nation, this relationship remains fragile and always open to challenge. And among the responses to that question of the plurality of religions within the Albanian nation, among these responses, there was one of attributing monotheistic prehistoric religion to the Albanians. And this has been elaborated, has been put forward since the 19th century. And it has enjoyed some success more recently, since the 90s. And it consists of asserting that Christianity and Islam in Albania are merely surface phenomena that have developed on a more ancient and more fundamental ground, that of the religion of the ancestors of the Albanians. That is an indigenous natural religion of these ancestors. And this type of response has been is being formulated today in the context of revision of the myth of the origin of the Albanians, a revision which is enjoying a great popular success in Albania and abroad among the Albanian migration and diaspora. And this new myth of origin draws on the figure of the Pelasgians, on which I will say a few words. The promoters of this myth of the Pelasgic origin of Albanians explain that first, the Pelasgians are a historical population. They really existed as such, and they were the bearers of a great civilization, which was spread throughout Europe, Asia, and the Mediterranean. A civilization that is at the origin of the Greek, Etruscan, Roman, Persian, and other civilizations. And second, they explain that modern Albanians are the direct and authentic descendants and heirs of the Pelasgians. This is the two main points of this myth of origin. So this is a very complex phenomenon, and I cannot go into detail. I just refer to two of the papers I have published on that issue. I would just like to emphasize 3 points in relation to what I presented earlier on about the Vacúfia. First, by asserting a kind of Pelasgic golden age for the in Albanian history, and by reconstructing or reinventing or inventing a Pelasgic civilization, the promoters of this myth are actually revitalizing or using an immense body of knowledge. No, that's not, sorry. Yes, by asserting a Pelasgic golden age and by features that is today mostly forgotten or rendered invisible, but which can be rediscovered in the Albanian language, in the Albanian culture. This myth of origin is linked to a form of occultism and esotericism, saying that all the Pelasgic civilization, the Pelasgic knowledge was superior to what we know today and has to be rediscovered and used again. The Pelasgians in that myth, they are presented as the creators of world civilization. Their language is said to be a divine language, a kind of code that can that opens a door to universal knowledge, to truth. I just give you two examples of books published recently by promoters of this myth, Pelasgians, founders of world civilization, and the Code of Pelasgo-Albanian language. In this way, this Pelasgianist literature or movement draws on and helps to disseminate in Albania global literature on occultism and esotericism, which was unknown during communism, but which is now translated into Albanian and made available to the Albanian public. And on this point, I refer you to an article by Cecilie Andresen, who has been studying this kind of occultist and esotericist literature in Albania. Second point, this myth of the Pelasgians is elaborated, is developed in a complex relationship with Greece, and this is important. It's not it's not a myth only for Albanians, but it's a myth about the relations between Greeks and Albanians. Because the Pelasgians are, as you know, are mentioned by ancient Greek authors as predecessors or precursors of the Greeks, it is claimed, referring to the Pelasgians by the promoters of this new myth, is a claim to even greater antiquity and autochthony for the Albanians. We say we are more ancient than the Greeks are. However, since the Pelasgians left no traces other than mentions in ancient Greek literature, all the content of which is given today to their civilization, all this content is drawn from what is actually recognized as Greek civilization. So mythology, architecture, literature, philosophy, everything is turned into Pelasgic. Greek mythology, in particular, is used extensively as material to build, to nourish this myth. And through fantastic etymologies based on the Albanian language, the names of deities, the names of heroes from the Greek mythology are in a way de-Hellenized and Pelasgianized, so to speak, in order to reconstitute an original Pelasgic mythology, which the Greeks are said to have simply inherited. They are not the founders of it, but they inherited it from the Pelasgians. And in this way, this Pelasgianist myth helps to disseminate and to update, revitalize knowledge about ancient religions in the Albanian society, making ancient religion as a kind of mediator between the Greeks and the Albanians. And this knowledge includes a visual dimension with the reproduction or the creation of a fairly heterogeneous imagery of what the Pelasgic religion could have been. And this is just an example of the cover illustration of one of these books. And third and last point, this Pelasgianist argument needs to be inscribed in the landscape, in the territory, and it needs to be materialized in some ways. And this is achieved by several means. One of it is the use of the category of Pelasgic walls, which was used in archaeology until late, and all ancient walls in the landscape are systematically said to be Pelasgic. And this is also done, this materialization, inscription in the landscape. It is also done by creating a religious landscape for the Pelasgians. In a religious landscape in which religious plurality and Vakuf have a role to play. Indeed, since the Vakuf category bears witness to the continuity, to the permanence of the sacred, despite destruction, despite border changes or changes of attribution. It is easy to trace the Vakuf back to very ancient past, and in this case to Pelasgic past. The argument is that if Muslim worship was superimposed on Christian worship, and Christian worship itself was superimposed on ancient Greek or Roman worship, there is no reason to exclude the possibility that Greek and Roman sanctuaries themselves were developed on even more ancient and on Pelasgic ground or foundation. such attempts to identify Vakuf as ancient Pelasgic sanctuaries can be seen locally in various places. But one site in particular is receiving this kind of attention. This is the mountain called Mount Tomor in southern Albania, which is one of the highest peaks in southern Albania, but is also a place with several Vakuf on its summit, but also on its slopes. And a mountain that hosts a very successful pilgrimage in August each year. A pilgrimage that brings together Muslims and Christians. And I just refer you to an article by Mentor Mustafa on this specific pilgrimage. But what is important with Mount Tomor relating to the Pelasgianist myth is that Tomor is a part of the geography of the Pelasgianist myth. There are ancient mentions of the Pelasgians linking them to the sanctuary of Dodona in Epirus. The Pelasgians are said to have founded Dodon. And ancient descriptions of Dodon indicate that the sanctuary was located at the foot of Mount Tomarus. And when the site of Dodona was identified at the end of the 19th century near Ioannina, the mountain that dominates the site, Mount Olitsika, was identified with the Tomarus of the ancient authors. However, doubts were soon raised, particularly in Albanian circles, to contest this identification of Olitsika with Tomarus, and to assert that the ancient Tomarus was actually the Albanian Tomor further north in Albania. And today, many Pelasgianist authors maintain that the sanctuary known today as ancient Dodona is just an annex or a secondary creation of an older Pelasgic sanctuary, which was located further north on the Tomor mountain, of which no trace has yet been found, but they call for archaeological survey to find remains of this Pelasgic sanctuary. In any case, these attempts and discussions contribute to imagining a cross-border Pelasgic religious landscape in which the Vakuf are presented as evidence of sacredness dating back to prehistory or antiquity. In other words, to a time before the division of the Albanians into Muslims and Christians. So it's a way to overcome this division or opposition between Muslims and Christians. So I think I will stop here because I talked a very long time. As I said, this is all exploratory, so I'm very open to all your comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gilles, for this very, very rich presentation of your work, long time exercised in Albania for a long time. So you made us the genealogy of your research there, starting from the borders, then passed to religious collectivities and affiliations. And then you focused on the Vacúfia, share sacred places as a vernacular term in Albania, to end with the Pelasgian myth construction in our days. And I found it very, very interesting, very rich. So I'm sure there are questions from our public. So I will open the discussion now and for comments and questions. Who wants to start? Yannis Manos.
Okay, I expected if there were some others that would have priority. So, Gilles, this is Yannis. Hi, nice to see you and hear you. Thank you very much. We're very happy to have you here. I have been thinking a lot of things. You know, part of my field is borders and the northwestern part. Anyway, so I was wondering. And forgive me if you have talked about this because I had some breaks while attending the lecture. But I was wondering, is this, could you see that this is or could be a nationalist reappropriation, this discussion and the narratives of Pelasgians, of all those ancient myths to somehow create a new narrative about the absence of religion in former Albania and now creating a new narrative. And I then, you know, continuing my thinking is that I was wondering, how is this played out in at the local level? I mean, is the local religious institutions involved? Are they involved, or are any cultural organizations? Are there any tensions? And finally, I'm thinking, is in any way the Albanian diaspora involved into these actions? Thank you.
Thank you, Yannis. Thank you. These are three huge questions. First, I have to say, all these publications and internet discussion, media about the Pelasgians, they do not form a unified or homogeneous movement. This is something very heterogeneous. So there is not one line, so it means that it's difficult to answer in a very simple way to your questions. For the first question, yes, it is a way to relativize the importance of religion and to bring back the Albanians to a kind of primordial religion, which would have nothing to do either with Christianity or Islam. The connection with the communist past is complex because the myth of the Pelasgians developed in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. But during the communist period, it was abandoned. the scientific authorities of communist Albania said that it was not scientific. You could not prove anything of that, about the Pelagians. So they give priority to the Illyrians. And that's the time when the Illyrian version became firmly established. So this is a very important, interesting point, because throughout the communist period, there were, how do you say, there are some people, some circles who maintained the myth of the Pelagians, even if it was officially abandoned. So there are connections between the 19th century ideas and the present ones through the communist period. Regarding the local level, it's difficult to say. These ideas about the Pelagians are really popular. They are spread everywhere. Everybody has heard about them. So it is religious authorities have know about it for sure. But so far, I have not discussed with local religious authorities about this. What I know from my observations in various Vakuf, where let's say heterodox practices are usual, local religious authorities let people do what they want as far as they don't damage anything or so. But it's there's quite a freedom of practicing whatever you want to practice in the Vakuf. And your third question on diaspora, yes, of course, the diaspora is very, very active in this movement. When I mean what diaspora, I mean Albanians, for instance, in the United States or in Germany, in UK. But also migrants in Greece who are active and who are usually. I heard many stories of people who became interested in the Pelagians after an experience or during their experience of migration in Greece, because it's the contact with Greece, with the Greeks, with the Greek national myth that let's say that stimulates this return to the Pelagians. So yes, for sure, diaspora and migration are very, very important in that respect.
Thank you, Gilles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yanis.
Okay, another question, please. If there is no other question for the moment, I can.
Fotini, can I make a
Okay, well, go on, and I will continue.
Do you have do you want to ask first?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go on.
Okay, thank you. Gilles, thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask you the following. Vakuf are one of these common spaces where religious practices are performed. According to you and your observations, what is the main components of this coexistence of Islam and Christianism in these spaces? In Vakuf, and in which ways these common characteristics ignore all these fundamental oppositions of the two religious faiths? What unites people to go to these common places, besides the fact that they're Muslims and Christians? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think what brings them together is this idea of power, of efficiency of the Vakuf. That's it's a kind of category of the sacred, which doesn't have to be either Christian or Muslim. And what makes it possible is also that the practices, the ways, the gestures of devotion are mostly common or shared. People do not exactly, but almost the same things in Vakuf, either Christians or Muslim. They all lit candles, they kiss icons or other parts of the Vakuf. They leave money. It's the same gest of devotion. That's what I think makes this possible. Although, as I said, sometimes in some places they don't do exactly the same as I explained about the blood sacrifice in Satrivac.
Okay.
Thank you, Gilles. Thank you.
And so my question, Gilles, now is about Bektashi culture and Bektashism in Albania. Forgive me if I'm getting in the wrong direction, but I think that in Mount Tomor it's a sacred place for Bektashi. Okay, for Bektashis also. So, and of course, my question is about the Edirama's later question in this summer about the Bektashism to become the national religion of Albania. So how do you think we must? I see there that Bektashi culture is in between Muslim and Christian practices of devotion and believing, etc. So that permits to connect also with the new myth, the reinvented myth of Pelagian, if I'm not wrong. And at the same time, we see a secular power, the political power of the country to try to engage with this. So I would like to have your comment on this.
No, yeah, thank you, Fotini. Yes, you're right. Mount Tomor is known for the Bektashi, and the Vakuf on the top is owned by the Bektashi community, so to say. It's true that from the 19th century, Bektashism has been presented as middle term between Christianity and Islam, and as a religion that could connect Christians and Muslims, a religion that could also be presented abroad, outside Albania, as a kind of soft Islam and European compatible Islam. And this is still true today. This is the way some of the Bektashi present their Bektashism. Regarding Edirama suggestion, I don't know what to think about it, but for sure it gives a greater visibility to Mount Tomor pilgrimage, and to the fact that it could become a national sacred place in Albania.
Okay, thank you very much. And do we have other questions? I think I don't see any other raised hand. Okay, in that case, we can stop here our presentation. And thank you so much for this very, very rich and so most motivating presentation, Gilles, and we hope we will come again in the next future to discuss again your updated research on Pelagian myth and the connection with religion and the shared sacred places in the Balkans. With Dionysi, perhaps. Let's hope next time he will be with us. So, thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Thank you, Fatine.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Ευχαριστούμε και το κοινό μας. Και υπενθυμίζω την επόμενη συνάντηση που έχουμε το Φεβρουάριο με ομιλήτρια και ομιλητή, την Ευγενία Ρούσου και τον δεν θυμάμαι αυτή τη στιγμή, δεν έχω τα χαρτιά μου εδώ. Βοήθησε Δημήτρη.
Δεν τα έχω εγώ μπροστά μου.
Το έχω εγώ μπροστά. Έχουμε διαθρησκευτικότητα, τελετουργίες, σώματα, υποκείμενα στον παλιό και νέο κόσμο, με τον Παναγιωτόπουλο και την Ρούσου, συναδέλφους ανθρωπολόγους. Ωραία, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Και η επόμενη συνάντηση είναι 17 Δευτέρου. Καλό απόγευμα σε όλες και όλους.
Καλό απόγευμα και καλή χρονιά.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Να είστε καλά.
Καλό απόγευμα.
Καλό απόγευμα.